Hey guys, getting lots of questions on this HIP disaster program or HIP/WI. So I want to take a minute and talk about the two storms we've had this year that qualified us. This is a new deal. The first year we've ever had it. So lots and lots of questions on how it works, how did it qualify. So I'm going to go through both storms and give you some information on which counties, how they determined it, and actually what the payments look like. And as of today, we paid out right at $6.5 million already, just on these two storms. So we'll start with Hurricane Sally. We've got a graphic up there. You can see that it come right up into Mobile Bay, cut across. You're looking at this wind field. You can see the Hurricane Cat 1 wind fields actually went into Mobile and Baldwin County. And remember, when we started this, guys, what I told you, the way this policy reads is it pays anywhere you have Cat 1 sustained winds plus one more county. So Mobile County had Cat 1, I'm just looking on the Alabama part here. Mobile County had Cat 1 winds, Baldwin County. And so what happened is the storm moved in up through the bay and it touched all Mobile, Baldwin, and Escambia, and it died right around Jay, Florida. As a Cat 1. So all those counties that it physically touched with Cat 1 winds, you can see the timing on this. It's a great graphic. That's where the Cat 1 wind fields is indicated in blue. So all of those counties plus one more. Okay, so you see the track of Sally there. You know, that thing was moving at 3 miles an hour. So if it had moved just a little bit further and got into Escambia County, then you would have had a couple more counties pay. So it's where Cat 1 sustained winds touch plus one more county. So there's your Hurricane Sally graphic. You can see exactly where it went. Now, Hurricane Zeta, man, this thing was moving at 30 plus miles an hour. So look what a great line this thing covered. So it did re-trigger some of the counties down Mobile and Baldwin or adjacent counties, but remember, HIP only pays one time a year. So even though Baldwin, Mobile, and Clark, even though they triggered with Zeta, they had already paid. So get right to the point here. It moved into Choctaw County, and as it moved toward Dallas County, this thing died just in the edge of Marengo County, somewhere close to Linden. So what does that mean? It means every county that touched Sumter or Marengo or Choctaw, we're going to get a payment, right? So Clark had already paid on the first Sally storm. So if it's in Marengo County, you get Wilcox, Dallas, Perry, Hale, Greene, and Pickens, because it actually touched in Sumter County just a little bit as well, where those three counties come together. So we wish it had gone further. We wish it was wider, but you see it's not just the center line. If you look at this blue line that's shaded in here, it's not just the center line of the storm, it's how big the wind field is. And so, you know, as the storm goes, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, even though, you know, Dallas County, Lowndes County, Otaga County all had terrible damage. It wasn't sustained winds. So, you know, they check this thing every 3 hours. Just give you the tracking on it, and you know there is maybe a brief chance that they may go back and revisit this. But these counties triggered for payment. It was announced this past Thursday. I got the checks yesterday. They've all already gone out, so it's a very quick process. So another question I'm getting is, how does this thing pay? So I've got a real brief example that I want to go over here, and you should see it on your screen. Let's just pretend that we've got a cotton farm that has 1,000-pound average history on it, okay? So if you look on the left side there, this is 70% regular insurance. And so if I got 1,000-pound average yield, my regular insurance down there at the bottom of this hand-drawn nifty little box I drew, 70% of 1,000 pounds is 700 pounds, right? So the HIP payment only exists above your crop insurance, above your level, up to 95% of the average. So if you've got 70% level insurance at 700 pounds, 95% of that 1,000-pound farm average is 950 pounds. So the difference between your crop insurance level and 950 is 250 pounds of cotton in this example at 70 cents, which is about $175. So if you chose, I want 100% of the HIP payment, that's how much I want to participate, your payment correct would have been $175. So how much if I took 50% level a hip? Well, it'd be half of that amount. So if it was $175, the whole amount, then $87.50 is what the payment would be if you took 50%. So these guys that are closer to the Gulf, this premium was so much higher, very few people went 100%, right? So a lot of guys had 33%, some 40, some 50, had a couple that went as high as 70, but the premium is real high. So one question I'm getting a lot of is, well, why was my payment so high on crops that had cat coverage? All right, well, I'm gonna show you. Remember, HIP coverage exists between your level of coverage and 95% of the farm average. So if you look on the right-hand side of that page, cat is what? 50% of the average yield. So 50% of 1,000 pounds is 500 pounds. 95% of that average yield is 950 pounds. So there's 450 pounds in that HIP window, right? Because that's 100% from your level of coverage up to 95%. So that's 450 pounds at 70 cents, that's $315 worth of coverage. So some of these guys up in the black belt that had 100% level or 75% level or 50% level HIP got some really good payments. But your premiums were so much cheaper than they were along the Gulf Coast that it was advantageous for us to do that and take these higher levels. So if you had 100% over cat there at 450 pounds at 70 cents, $315. If you had 100% participation, you got $315. If you had 50%, you got $157. If you had 33%, you got $103. So the way it works is the same whether it's peanuts or corn or beans. You take your level of coverage, and the difference between that and 95% of the farm average is what the payment's going to look like if you went in 100%. So another thing that was, I guess, guys had forgot about is even if you had already harvested all of your crop, if you trigger for payment, you can look back on those payment counties where you see the track. Even if you had already finished harvesting, it still pays. So as long as it's within an insurance period, it's still going to pay. So, man, I wish we could have, got more counties. Everybody needs it. 2020 has been a horrible year. Largest claim year I've had in 25 years. We're going to do a little bit more updating on claims and quality adjustment. That's coming. I've had COVID for the last 3 weeks, and so I've been out and business as usual here at the office, but I've been out, so I've been a little lax on getting this information. The checks are out, but I just wanted to recoup and go back over why it did what it did, why it paid what it did, why some counties got a payment, some counties didn't. So we'll get more in depth on some more claim things in the next week or so. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll be back first next week. We'll talk about quality adjustment. We'll talk about the claims process. We'll talk about some hail and wind. But this just gives you a brief overview of how the HIP with the wind index has worked on these two storms. So, everybody laughs at me because I never know how to sign off. But, guys, I in the words of the Alabama Hammer, it feels like we're frogs on a lily pad in a lake of pain for this 2020 crop year. So stay on your lily pad. We're going to get through it, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you a lot.